I'm asking us to share a few objectives for today's webinar. What do you hope to learn by the end of today's session? So if you can hear me, you can just unmute yourself and share. Emmanuel, Mamiesi, Susan, and Janet. Any of the Axis people in-house can also share. You can unmute and share what you hope to learn by the end of today's discussion on confidence. Rena, I see you. Can you share with us what you hope to learn by the end of today's session? I see a hand up. Yes, please. Mamiesi, you can speak.
Yes, please. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Please, at the end of this seminar, I hope to use the confidence skills to be more confident in whatever I do and wherever I find myself. Help me. Yes, please.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'll take one more or two. What you like to learn by the end of this session. So Susan and Janet, let me hear you, please. That was Mamiesi who just shared. She wants to learn to be confident by the end of today's session. What do you want to learn? Rena, I had called your name earlier. You can also share with us what you want to learn by the end of today's session.
Maybe I'll to learn and also strengthen my confidence level.
Beautiful. Everybody's looking at building the confidence level, which is why we're having this seminar. And I can assure you by the time we are done, you would have learned that. Okay. So our objectives are aligned. By the end of this session, we hope to learn how to build our confidence and start using confidence in our communication. Okay. As I mentioned, today is going to be very interactive. So if you can see my screen wherever you are, I have here, what is confidence? I want us to talk about this issue, this subject we're discussing, confidence. What is confidence? A lot of people define it in different ways, but what really does confidence mean to you as an individual? What does confidence mean to you? I see on the call, Susan, I'm still waiting for you. You're trying to connect.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Susan. Finally,
Okay.
I can hear you. Talk to me.
Yes, this is my first time actually using Zoom, so I'm having a bit of difficulty.
Okay, no worries.
And I'm currently also at work. So
okay, I can understand that. We're discussing confidence today, and I was asking us to share what confidence means to you. So, Susan, since you're on the floor, can you tell us what does confidence mean to you?
when we talk about confidence, it basically means you being firm and sure of what you're saying. You being
Beautiful. Being sure of what you're saying.
able
I like that. I
to
like
express
that.
yourself, and then having like a taking place.
Beautiful. You're sure of yourself, you know what you're saying. Thank you for that contribution, Susan. We're grateful. I'll take one or two more. Confidence. What does confidence mean? Confidence. When you hear confidence, how do you understand this? How do you understand it? Any of the Axis folks can just jump in and share a comment or two. Confidence. What does confidence mean? Yes, please. Can you share with us?
So I know confidence to being aware of who I am and what I am and leveraging on that to express myself fully and fully.
Beautiful. Knowing who you are, knowing what you're saying, leveraging on that knowledge to express yourself. Mamiesi, I'm glad your hand is up. Please talk to us. What does confidence mean to you? Thank you for that, Linda. Mamiesi, let's hear you.
All right. So I also think confidence in being courageous, being able to speak about whatever you are discussing, and making it more meaningful and understanding to whoever is listening.
Beautiful. Knowing what you're saying and communicating what you know with meaning so that your listeners can understand you. Amazing. Thanks for that. Thanks a lot for that. Baba, I see your hand up. Please talk to us. What does confidence mean to you?
Yes.
Baba, there's some feedback in your background.
Confidence
So,
to me is believing what you are saying and making sure that other people can also understand what you are saying. So first, believing in what you are saying and being bold about whatever it is. Thank you.
thanks for that, Baba. Believing what you're saying, being bold about it. I remember Mamiesi also mentioned being courageous about it. Susan also mentioned being sure of what you're saying. So I hear some themes running through being sure, being bold, being confident, and communicating with meaning. I also have some thoughts, and I would like to share that with us. Confidence. So I have here, confidence is feeling and being sure of yourself and of your abilities. So that certainty has to be there. It's also a feeling and a demonstration. So not just a knowing, but a doing of that knowing of yourself and of your abilities. You're sure. And just to clarify, this being certain of yourself and of your confidence, of your abilities rather, is not done in an arrogant way, but rather in a realistic and secure way. So you have a certain level of certainty of yourself and your self-esteem and your abilities, but it is not in arrogance. It is realistic and it is in a secure way. I want to clarify here that confidence doesn't mean you're feeling superior to other people. It also doesn't mean that you are living in a false paradise. By false paradise, we mean creating a certain reality that isn't true. You paint a certain picture or a certain castle which isn't grounded on facts and truth, and you live in that space. That's not confidence. Confidence is realistic. Confidence is that you are sure of yourself, you're sure of what you have, you're sure of what you can do. Let me quickly visit my chat room and see. Emmanuel has greeted all of us. Good morning. Beautiful. So let's move straight on to why do people lack confidence? We've understood confidence to mean that we are sure, we are bold, we are courageous, we are certain, and it is in the framework of being realistic. But we know also that people lack confidence, and sometimes we ourselves we feel that we don't really have confidence in certain areas or on certain things. So the question really is, why do people lack confidence? And on this particular question, I would like everybody to share. Tell me what you think. Why is it that people lack confidence on certain things? Or generally, why are some people lacking in confidence? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Yes, Susan, please talk to us.
So I feel that another person's response to the person, to the certain person, outspeaking would actually let someone not to be confident. They should not be like more like somebody's going to shut what she is saying down. So it sometimes tends people to not be confident or not speak exactly what they want.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes people lack confidence because of the response they get from their listeners.
Yeah.
Susan, thanks for sharing that with us. Doc, I see your hand is up. Could you share with us, please?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Amanda. Sometimes people lack confidence because of the way they've been raised, because of their experience, growing up, and what they've been taught is okay and not okay. And so you may have somebody who has always been told, never speak until you are spoken to. So even though they have ideas, they hold back because they're expecting somebody to speak to them first or to invite them into a conversation before they can join that conversation, etc. So sometimes the norms that we have picked up growing up, and I'm sure later on when you go further, you'll talk about how we show up even physically. So how we stand, how we look, our body posture, the words we use. And so sometimes it's just we picked it up subconsciously. So we may not even be aware that we don't demonstrate confidence because of our, upbringing and what we've been taught as the norm and what is okay and what is not.
Thank you very much for that insight, Doc. It's really revealing. I'll take some more comments on this. Why? Why do we lack confidence sometimes? Why do people lack confidence sometimes? Loretta, I see you. You're welcome. Naki, I see you on the call as well. Susan has shared. Samuel, I'd like to hear you in the course of the discussion. Why do people lack confidence? Why? Let's help one another to understand the root cause. And so at this point, I will call Baba. If you can hear me, what are your thoughts? Why do people lack confidence sometimes?
Yes, so one of the reasons why I think people lack confidence is they don't believe in themselves and they don't believe that they can also bring value to the table when they are in the midst of people.
They don't believe in themselves, like a self-esteem issue. I see. And Doc mentioned that sometimes it's because of the way people have been raised. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Baba. Rejoice. If you can hear me, why do you think people lack confidence sometimes?
Hello. People lack confidence sometimes because they fear they'll be rejected, or past rejection and failures lead them to having a lack of confidence in themselves. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Rejoice. Let's keep the insights coming. We're really sharing things that are useful on today's session. Loretta, I'd like to hear your voice on this question. Why? Why do people lack confidence sometimes? I'm sure she will join us at some point. I see her on the call though. But Samuel, if you can hear me, can you share with us why you think people lack confidence? What's the cause?
Hello.
Yes, Samuel, I can hear you.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, and I was a little bit later. Forgive me. And but that particular lack of confidence, I think there are two. I can point to two sessions, like the school and what the family. For example, when in our schools, children are not allowed to be assertive. They may end up growing with that kind of what timid nature, and then there will be that inner lack of confidence. And when you come to the family side, the way the parents also treat some kids, they may end up being timid instead of being confident or that assertive. And also, when even grown up, when you've grown up, when you don't have knowledge or you have limited knowledge on a particular topic, you tend to be a little bit you tend to lack confidence speaking about it. So this is what I can submit.
Thank you so much, Samuel. I like your comments. You even segregated it into school and family and how people who socialize allow us to express ourselves or otherwise. Thank you so much, Samuel. We appreciate it. Naki, I see your hand is up.
I think people lack confidence as a result of they comparing themselves to others.
So the social comparisons. I see. Thanks for sharing, Rena. Thanks for sharing that. I'll take just one more comment on this. Mami, see if you'd like to share with us why people lack confidence. I mean, we have said a number of things, but what do you also think? Why do people lack confidence?
So I think that people are scared about the reactions of others with regards to whatever they are talking about.
I see. The fear of how people will react to what you are saying. We've said a lot of very, very interesting things. Confidence and why people lack it. My slide shows a few of these areas which points to why people lack confidence. One of it is poor treatment from a close associate. It could be a spouse, a parent, a caregiver, a guardian, a friend, the community, class, workplace, any society or any group of people that you can think of where you receive poor treatment from these places, it can affect your boldness and your confidence, how you are able to communicate with certainty. And so I agree with was it Mamiesi who shared that, and with Samuel, when people give you poor treatment and people respond very poorly to the things you say and how you express yourself, it can affect the energy with which you feel confident to talk the next time. Also, somebody mentioned stressful events, and I remember Doc also shared how people are socialized, how people are raised. That's a very, very key factor which influences lack of confidence. Stressful events. Sometimes people are confident in the beginning, but they suffer a very, very stressful event which shake their confidence level. It could be a relationship breakdown. And by relationship, I don't only mean a male-female relationship. It could be a sibling relationship. It could be a parental relationship. But whatever space that relationship fits in, sometimes a traumatic experience from there can shake a person's confidence level. And I don't even have to overemphasize the financial trouble. A lot of times when people don't have money, it affects their confidence, it affects their self-esteem and how they communicate. Imagine someone who's been searching for a job for 10 years. There's a certain way that that kind of stressful event can affect that person's confidence. And some other points that I thought of which affects people's confidence is when somebody has a medical problem. So the person is suffering from a chronic pain or some ailment or some physical disability. It has a way of shutting and closing people in and making them look over their shoulders every time and feeling nervous to come out and express themselves freely because it's probably very obvious that they are suffering one medical problem or the other. And then the issue of physical appearance. I know that we know that some people are not too confident because of the way they look in terms of their size. Maybe they feel very heavy, or they feel too short, or they feel too tall. But physical appearance is another reason why people feel that they don't have confidence. And now that we've understood confidence and we've identified together some of the reasons why people lack confidence, I want us to talk about how this lack of confidence shows up, how this lack of confidence manifests itself when we are communicating. When you're talking, how do you give people signals that you are nervous inside or that you lack some confidence inside? Yes, Doc, I see your hand up.
All right, so for the benefit of those on this call, one of the main reasons why we selected this topic for this time is because of what we see, the signs of the lack of confidence, which really affect people in the job market. And so, as recruiters, we're engaging people who demonstrate, a lack of confidence, and we see it. We see it through the lack of eye contact. You're interviewing somebody, they're looking down, they're looking away, they're not making direct eye contact. Granted, depending on the home in which you were raised, you may have been told when you're talking to adults or people in authority, don't look them in the eye. And for that reason, some people, they find it difficult to communicate with a recruiter, look them directly in the eye. So the eye contact. Sometimes you may ask somebody a question in an interview, and they may fumble. One of the key things we want to help young people to understand is the value of integrity and owning your content. Integrity and owning your content such that when you're sure of what you're saying, if I ask you to tell me about your past work experience, if you're being honest, don't worry about, you don't need to be anxious, you don't need to be um, nervous, etc. Because you're telling me, you're sharing your experience. So anytime you're in a job interview, etc., own your content, be honest, share honestly. It's only when people, for us as recruiters, when you notice that somebody is comfortable as they talk, and then as soon as you get into certain questions, the body language changes. They're no longer making eye contact, they're shifting around in their seats, they're looking away, they start, their speech, slows down, they're not as engaging verbally as they were, then it raises the flag that perhaps they are making the story up as they go. And so we begin to see it in the confidence they show. There's the opposite too, which is true, where somebody is interviewing and they're telling you many, many lies with a lot of confidence. So we're not using only the body language, but for us as recruiters, we look at the body language, we look at the content, what you're saying, we look at the facts as well, right? And see that they align, and that builds our trust in you. And this is especially difficult when people are introverted. So personality-wise, they just naturally a little more introverted. They don't feel as comfortable expressing themselves. They don't feel as comfortable. They know their stuff. They are being very honest and very direct. Just that when they're speaking to people for many of the reasons that were shared earlier, they don't feel as comfortable. And this begins to affect people in the workplace. It affects people even at the entry point when they're interviewing. One of the things that I'd like to draw minds and attention to is especially young women, even before the physical, in-person engagement. We realize that when it comes to even how we network for jobs, we may post a role and we may find that there are many young women who ask their male partners, brothers, husbands, friends, colleagues to submit their CV on their behalf. That is a no-no. And so if you're listening and you're a young woman who is job searching, this conversation is very, very relevant to you, because building your confidence and showing confidence builds trust. It builds the recruiter or the employer's confidence in you. And it doesn't start only in a job interview, but in the context of work, it starts even with how you engage. Being able to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, and then once you reach out on LinkedIn, being able to engage, having conversations with them, etc. Right? So it's really key. It's really important that we are intentional about it, and we identify ways of building a sense of self, and knowing that nobody's doing us a favor. We are part of the job pool, job market, because we're good. So as we look to engage employers and recruiters, even the confidence to send our own documentation, send our own CV, that's where it starts from. And then in an interview, for many of us on the recruiting side, we see the body language, we hear the, people who may stammer through, not because they naturally stammer, but because they're not confident in what they're saying, or they're not too sure what is expected of them. And so they're trying hard, as they're speaking, to put the pieces together. This is very, very important, the confidence we're talking about, and the signs we see from the point of view of the recruiter, which is why we're having this conversation. And I really, really hope that those listening can pay attention to it and apply the lessons that you're teaching to, doing things differently. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you very much for that, Doc. I'd like us to share a bit more on some of the signs that you see when you are communicating or when others are communicating with you, which points to the fact that confidence is lacking in this communicator. Doc has shared some insights with us: lack of eye contact, you're jittery, you're fidgeting, looking away. What else? How else are you able to tell that this person doesn't show confidence in this communication? I'll take just two more comments. Samuel? The network appears to be delaying responses by a few seconds. So when I call your name, if you could just unmute yourself and speak, we would be very grateful. What else do you see? How else do you see signs of lack of confidence? Ruby, you're welcome. You just joined us. Vanessa, you're welcome. You just joined us. Share with us, what are some of the signs of lack of confidence? They're yet to speak. You can also put your hand up and share if you want to. Gracia, you're welcome. Okay. All right, then. Let me just show you what I picked up as some signs of lack of confidence. I put it in two groups. There's the nonverbal and the verbal. So here are some of the nonverbal cues that point to the fact that you lack confidence when you speak. Your body posture. When you're speaking or you're communicating and you're very jittery, you're fidgeting all around you. You're touching a button, touching your tie, touching your phone, putting your hands in and out of your pocket, touching your hair, moving your braids, adjusting your ribbons. You're very jittery. It means that you're looking for some form of shelter to hide the fact that you're not exuding confidence. When you're timid, we can tell from your body posture. And as Doc mentioned earlier, when you're looking down or you're looking away. So in a typical interview setting, for example, when the interviewer is looking straight at you, but you look above the interviewer's head, or you look towards the interviewer's ears or down to the floor, it doesn't show confidence. The eye contact is missing. So there's very little or no eye contact at all. These are a few of the nonverbal cues for a person who is not exuding confidence. In the verbal cues, when you start to speak, you sound nervous. So the voice is shaky, volume is low, words are inaudible. So your listener keeps saying, I can't hear you. Pardon, pardon, excuse me, hello, say again, come again, repeat. All of that shows that you're not controlling the communication. Your voice is shaky and you're beginning to sound nervous. It's a sign of lack of confidence. Then sometimes the negative self-talk, you can't, you don't know how to, you will not know how to. All of the negative self-talk is a sign of lack of confidence, because confidence looks at the possibility. Confidence looks at the capability, ability to do things and surmount challenges. And then Rena mentioned earlier the social comparisons that we do, the negative comparisons that we do. These things show that you're not confident in yourself. Your self-esteem is low, and you think that others are better in certain regards than you are. There's nothing wrong with admitting that somebody can do something better than you. But where you begin to see that the person is superior to you as a person because of that ability, that's a negative social comparison. And that affects your self-esteem, and that affects your ability to communicate confidently or carry yourself about confidently. And then I don't know if Rejoice is the one who mentioned this, but excusing present wrongs or mistakes with past sufferings. So it is true. You suffered a trauma in the past. You suffered a negative treatment in the past. You suffered a heartbreak in the past. And that hit your confidence and your self-esteem very seriously. Because of that past suffering, every other mistake or wrong which happens in your present has become liable to that past suffering. So you are quick to justify your wrong and justify your mistake to say, oh, I did this because, the way I grew up. I didn't do this because, the way my dad would say. I cannot go here because, the way my teacher would say. It is true you suffered that in the past, but now you are letting those past sufferings become an excuse for your present mistakes. And that only shows that you're lacking confidence. So in an interview session where you are asked about your work experience and you failed to do something in your past work experience, let's make it very practical. You're interviewing for a front desk role, and your interviewer asks you to share an instance where you handled a difficult situation with a customer, and you share that you haven't had such an experience before. Now, that is telling your interviewer that one of two things is either you're being truthful, you truthfully haven't had an experience where you had to manage a difficult customer before, or you did handle a difficult customer, but you are shying away from the question because you didn't handle it right or you don't know how to answer it. So you're looking away and you're saying, I haven't done this before. And at the same time, as you say this, your body, your non-verbal cues, they're telling us that you're jittery, you're looking away, your eye contact is not direct. It tells us that you're lacking confidence in that area. So let us come to the meat of our discussion, the bone for the discussion. How do I build confidence? Everybody needs this, not just job seekers. You need this as a growing adult. You need this as a parent. You need this as a team member in your workspace. You need this, especially also when you're interviewing or searching for a job. So my question to us, how do I build confidence? Knowing what confidence is, knowing how to identify what a lack of that confidence is, and knowing the signs that show people, even when you are not observant or you don't notice it, people can tell that you are not confident. How do you now build this confidence? How do you build confidence? How do you develop confidence and communicate with confidence? So I will start by calling some few individuals to share. How do you think you can build confidence? Gracia, this is a special call to you. Can you share with us, how can you build confidence as an individual?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Gracia.
I think, yes, first of all, believing in yourself that you can do what you have been told to do, or you can answer the question you've been asked. I think that's one thing you can do. And maybe counting 1 up to 10 before you start talking.
Wow, that's very, very practical. Counting 1 up to 10. Okay. I'm just thinking of how that works in an interview session, for example, when you're asked a very direct question and you want to count 1 up to 10. But it works for some people, and I'm sure it's worked for you before, Gracia. So thanks a lot for sharing that tip with us. How else can you build confidence? How else can you develop that skill? I'd like to call it a skill for now. It's a quality, it's a trait. But how can you build that as well? Mama Akita, you are so welcome to today's session on confidence. If you can hear me, I'd like you to unmute yourself and share with us, how can you build confidence as an individual?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. So, building confidence is actually practice. So when opportunities present itself, sometimes you have to just take it. For example, you're not someone who is so confident when it comes to speaking in public. You are given the opportunity to, let's say, MC an event or even a small gathering. You give it a try. through that, you build your confidence and also interacting with people. A lot of people, some people are isolated. They don't like interacting with other individuals. Once you start mingling with colleagues and co-workers and your peers, it becomes very easy to express yourself when you find yourself in such a space. I think that's one way or
Thank
two
you
ways.
so much. Yeah, you actually shared too. I have a follow-up question for you though, before
Yeah.
you unmute. So please stay on the line, right?
Okay.
You mentioned when opportunities come or present themselves, you should encourage yourself to take them up. And by taking on these opportunities, you build the confidence. And that's a very salient point. My follow-up question to that is, before you actually take up that opportunity, you want to do public speaking, but you are shy. You are unable to express yourself in a crowd. How do you bring yourself to take on that opportunity in the first place?
Okay, so let me use myself as an example.
I'd be grateful if you do.
So this year, in July, I was at the University of Ghana. The University of Ghana Jubilee Choir organized a program, and I've never organized a fundraiser before in my life.
I see.
Yes. So as in, I can do the backdoor one whereby I see you in person, but doing it in front of a lot of people is a challenge. But the committee said I should do it. I said, well, I've not done it before, but he said, oh, I can do it. I should just try. Okay, no problem. I'll try. I'll give it a try. And I went for the program and I did my best. I was able to raise a significant amount. But I mean, it was all good. And through that, I was like, oh. And the next time they have a fundraising, they call me because this thing is not so difficult. You just need
Wow.
to. And also in your churches, sometimes you are called to, let's say, read the scripture for the day or before the sermon. I haven't, and the first time that happened in my church, we said, oh, I give it a try. I said, okay, I haven't done it before, but well, it's my first time, so let me just try. And I read the Bible at church, and I got very good feedback that, oh, I did very well. I read properly, no mistake. The next
Wow.
time, we try it again. So I got another opportunity, I think, was it last year, Christmas. I read one of the 9 lessons, for the 9 lessons in Carol. Read one of the lessons, and it was fun. It was
Wow.
interesting and fun. I actually enjoyed it. So you have to enjoy whatever you did. Even though it's your first, if it's your first, you be a little bit scared, but you just give it a try. The next time, perfect it, and just enjoy what you do. Just enjoy it. Yes.
Interesting. This is a very, very practical example that you have given us about how to build your confidence. So you take up a challenge when the opportunities present themselves. You look at challenges as opportunities and you hop on and you give it your best shot. And when the positive feedback comes, you feel very encouraged to take on another try. And that's how the confidence builds up. Thanks so much for sharing.
And sometimes when you get some feedback that I'm so positive, you build it, find out how you can make it better the next time. Yes.
Interesting. You have even made this a double-edged contribution where when the feedback is positive, it encourages you, builds your confidence. And when the feedback is not so positive, you probe further to understand what you did wrong or what you didn't do right. And then the learnings from that will also improve. And next time, you still come out as confident. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm curious though, is your name Mama Akita?
Yes, Mama Akita.
Mama.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, Mama. I appreciate the very, very practical examples that you shared with us. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
Right. Susan, I'd like to hear your voice. How can you build confidence?
So to me personally, I think when you decide that you're not going to let some things push you down, and you decide that you're not going to let the way you were before, that did not make you confident, that did not make you speak out. And you decide to let all of that go, and you put it in the back of your mind that I can change this. Like I have to say yes to. I want to do it. I want to say it. More like, oh, you go to somewhere when they speak, you don't talk. When you ask the question, you are not able to say it. Your words become inaudible. When you decide that when I go, if what I say is even wrong, at least I'm bringing out my idea, so I would say it. I would have to speak
Mm,
out. If I am wrong, I will be corrected. I think
mm.
that's also good for you to know that you're building your confidence.
Thanks a lot for that. Even if my opinion is wrong, I will be corrected. And so I will share that confidently. Thanks a lot, Susan. Thanks so much for that contribution. I'd like to hear two more very, very practical ways. How can I build my confidence? And especially looking at it from the area of how you grew up or some things that you've experienced in your past that have affected your confidence. How do you overcome those things and now build confidence for your present and your future? Ruby, I'd like to hear you, please. You're welcome.
Okay, hello, good morning, everyone.
Ruby, thank you so much. Good morning.
Today I nearly forgot the meeting, so I was late. Kindly forgive
Wow.
me.
No worries at all. Next time, come with three more people.
No problem, I will. Okay, so with confidence, I believe charity begins at home. Sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
take certain roles very lightly, even in our own locality or even at church. Some of us, we are just sitting warming the pews at church. So
Hmm.
we don't actually talk to people. You can do something in your own little way, because if you're able to stand even before 10 people, 20 people to speak to in the church, or even at Sunday school, you can stand in before the children, talk to them. These are some of the little things that you can use to build your confidence. You don't need a platform of 1,000. You can start in your own small way.
Beautiful.
If you have younger siblings, you can talk to them, you can sit them down. Some of us are even scared to even advise our siblings at home. So
Hmm.
all these boil down to our confidence level. If you have the confidence that you're a big sister, you can speak to your younger ones and they will listen to you, then how much more the crowd out there? So that is where it starts from. You don't need a big platform. You can start little by what you have in the house, what you have in your locality, what you have in the church. Then you go out to a broader perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Ruby. That is very practical. Start from home. I would even add start from your bedroom. By starting from your bedroom, you can start with yourself in the mirror. You look yourself in the mirror and you talk to yourself. Then you talk to your siblings, you talk to your family. You exhibit confidence. Thank you so much for that, Ruby. Thank you very, very much. Start from where you are. Mami Esi, please talk. Oh, so Mami Esi has spoken, right? I wanted to call Janet. Janet, please talk to us. How can I build confidence? Very, very practical ways that will help me by the time this session is over.
Okay, they've said it all, but I would like to add, like, you have to also learn to interact with
Mm.
people as often as possible. With that, it helps you in communication, which you'll be able to also build your confidence.
Okay. Thank you so much, Janet. We have digested this question very beautifully. Start from where you are. Interact more often. Don't be comfortable in a little small zone. Speak to people when you go out. Interact with people. Communicate with people. Ask them for feedback if they understand what you're saying. Mami, I see your hand is up. Please share with us. How can I build confidence? Mami, your hand was up. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, please. You just spoke about I was about talking about stepping out of your comfort zone. So
Mhm.
sometimes when become too familiar with the people there is no confidence in it again because you are very used to whoever you are speaking to. But when you step out to different circle, you begin to learn more and acquire more skills and build upon.
That's very, very true. Step out of your comfort zone, interact with people, acquire new skills, or build on your existing skills. That's very true. Very, very true. I'd like to share with us my thoughts on how to build confidence. As recruiters, there are different ways we segment people's competencies when they come for interviews or when they're searching for a job. Here in Axis, there's a module that we use called the head, heart, hands, and feet. Head, heart, hands, and feet. Now, how to build confidence from the head perspective, you can see on my screen. Strive to gain more knowledge because the head is what you have inside in your brain. Strive to gain more knowledge, insight, information about the world around you, about your goals, about your area of study, and about your work. So what do you currently do? What work are you doing right now? How much knowledge and insight do you have on that job? Are you an accounts officer? Are you an HR officer? Are you a customer service officer? How much knowledge do you have in that area of work? How much have you studied in that area or that field? Knowing and having insight is a buffer, is a very, very strong area of confidence. A step higher would be gaining professional certification in your field of work or your area of work. So, for example, in the HR, we have the SPHRIs. In the accounting, we have ACCA. Even in the HR, we have the CIHRM here in Ghana. So there are different professional certifications that you can acquire just to make yourself more marketable and boost your confidence. And if yours is not a professional certification, you can do online courses. There's Coursera, there's Allison, and very soon, Ghana Growth is going live on Moodle. You can come online, create an account, and get online training to build your head knowledge. Read books. I'd like to, if this were an in-person session, I would have just called somebody to share with us the most recent book that they have read. But thankfully, Zoom allows me to see the participants in there. So I just call somebody. And I know she'll be smiling, but let me still call her. Gracia, when was the last time you read a book? Don't tell us the title of the book, but just share with us the last time you read a book. It is one of two things, people. It's either Gracia has heard me and deliberately refused to unmute herself, or her network is not helping. But either way, I think I have an answer. So here it is. Read. As a recruiter, I see that a lot of people come very unprepared for interviews. There are things that we put on our CVs that we are not even prepared to defend or well equipped to defend. So, for example, somebody will put there a hobby, reading, and then you ask the person, what's the title of the last book you just read? And it will take close to 2 hours to come up with the title of that book. Let us build on our head knowledge, because knowing and knowledge in itself is power. And that power is what gives the confidence, educative material. In Axis, when we talk of heart, we mean the personality you are approaching the job with. What kind of person are you? What's your temperament? What's your personality? Knowing that is knowing yourself. How do you know yourself? You need to do a personal SWOT. By SWOT, I mean S for strength, W for weakness, O for opportunities, and T for threats. So as a person, as an individual, what are my natural strengths? What comes to me easily? I have a natural grace for it. I don't have to sweat to do it. What are my weaknesses? What do I struggle to do? What is hard for me to do? What are the opportunities I find around me in the house, on the television, on the internet, at my workplace, in my circle of friends? everywhere. Opportunities are littered around. And what are the threats? What threatens you from your background? What threatens you from the office? What threatens you from the community? An assessment of your SWOT will help you understand the kind of person you are. And having that understanding will point you to the areas you need to work on to build confidence. So, for example, you've assessed yourself and you realize that you are shy. It is hard for you to do public speaking. That's a weakness. How do you build confidence then, knowing this weakness? You start to practice speaking in public, starting little with 2 people. Then you move to 5 to 10, starting in your house. Then you move to the community, to the church, to your workplace, to school if you are in class. Knowing yourself will show you how to build your confidence in the areas that you are lacking. And Doc mentioned integrity. This is a big issue. I know when I say confidence, a lot of people might probably even not join today's session at all because they think, oh, confidence, that's your confidence. It means to be bold. But trust me, if you are bold without integrity, you are not confident. What does it mean to have integrity? It means to say what you mean what you say, and keep your word. It means to develop trustworthiness. It means to be reliable, that you can be honest about what you are saying and you can defend what you are saying, and people can rely on you. Knowledge of the fact that this person has integrity is enough confidence in itself. It's a skill and a quality that a lot of people overlook, but it is a skill that as job seekers we must develop. I had mentioned that in Axis we do head, heart, we do hands, and we do feet. So what are the hands confidence traits? Hands are basically your skills, what you're able to do, what you're able to demonstrate. Skills. And sometimes when we're interviewing people, we're finding jobs for people, or we're interacting with people, we're looking out for what computer software they can use, what volunteering activities they've taken up, what kind of hobbies they say they have, and the impact that they generate from those hobbies. So if you want to build your confidence, as you develop or you build on the head knowledge, acquire knowledge and insight, information, you do introspection to identify what your personal SWOT is. You have the hands to build. You need to pick up skills. I remember Samuel, he joined the call earlier, but I think he fell off at a point. He said, when you know something, you feel confident about it. When you know how to use Excel and you are in an interview and we ask you, can you show us how to do or use pivot tables in Excel? You are able to demonstrate it because it is a skill you have. Can you show us how to develop slides using PowerPoint? You can show us because it's a skill you have. Whatever activity that you are engaged in currently, this is a personal plea. Add a computer software to it. Learn something IT based because the world is becoming digitized day after day. And your activities, if you find any opportunity to be a volunteer, like in Axis, for example, we're currently looking for volunteers to assist us in the Ghana Grows program, and I'll speak about that in a bit. If you are not working currently, this is an opportunity to jump on board and pick up skills that you didn't have before. Networking skills, business development skills. These things show you up and they build your confidence when you speak. Imagine as a young lady, you're able to walk into an employer's office, speak to him or her about the Ghana Grows program, get him to sign up and consent to be a part of the program. He shares his contact details with you. You have those details. You expand your network. Can you imagine how much confidence that will give you? If you couldn't do that before, now you'll be able to do that. And that is confidence. And that is practical. By generating impact from your hobbies, I mean, don't just pick up hobbies for picking hobbies' sake. For example, you like to watch a movie. What kind of impact can you generate from that movie? You can do some lessons learned from that movie, create a personal blog, and share your insights from that movie. Before you know it, people are looking for reviews on a movie and they chance on yours. That's impact you've created. And that's confidence that that skill will give you, that you've given a review of a movie online and somebody picks it up and it's very insightful and they reference your name. That's confidence that you get. In Access, when we say feet, we're looking at aspirations. Where do you seek to go? What are your future goals in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What are your aspirations? And they have to be SMART. So if you can see my screen there, I've explained the SMART. It means setting very specific goals. The goals don't have to be vague. They have to be specific. Setting measurable goals. They are goals that you are able to point by indicators what you have achieved and the progress you have made. They have to be achievable. You can't set a goal that you want to visit the moon, for example. That can't be achievable in your setting, for example. But when you set a goal that you want to learn how to use the Microsoft Office, Word, and Excel, at least to the intermediate level, that's achievable. Your goals have to be reliable and they have to be time bound, that you can measure within a time frame. In 2 years' time, I should have achieved this. In 5 years' time, I should have achieved this. Now, this is how you build confidence in the feet level, where you set smart aspirations for yourself and you evaluate your progress every month. I know on the 31st of December, a lot of us will go to church. And even if you don't go to church in your room, you will set a target for yourself that in 2023, I should get a job. And in 2023, I should be able to do A, B, or C. Today is the 1st of September, 2023. So when we are done with this session, quickly go back to where you wrote those resolutions and ask yourself how many you've achieved. If you've achieved quite a number, you won't have to explain to me. You will have confidence. Your self-esteem will receive a boost. So setting goals that are smart and evaluating those goals. Those are my thoughts on how to build confidence. I'm on my last but one slide. How do I measure confidence? It's not enough to build confidence. Every day, there should be something you are able to measure your confidence by, so that when your confidence level is dropping, you can tell that your self-esteem is going low and you need a booster. So my question to all of us right now is, how can I measure my confidence level? When I'm doing all the things that I have to do, I'm developing new skills, I'm turning my hobbies to become impactful ventures, I am learning in my area of work or field of study, I have done personal analysis of my own personality and I'm working on my weaknesses. How do I now measure my confidence? It should be measurable, and it is measurable. Lillian, you just joined us. You're welcome. We're discussing confidence today, and we're not limiting it just to job search, even though that is where one of the places you can demonstrate that. But generally, how do you measure confidence? Zelia, you're welcome. I think your network is disturbing you a bit. You kept falling off, but thankfully you're with us now. Let's share. How do you measure your confidence? Felicia, I see you. You're also welcome. Lillian, I'd like to hear your voice, even though you just joined. How should I measure my confidence? How am I able to tell that some months ago, I didn't have confidence, but now it looks like it's picking up, it's picking up? How do I measure my confidence? You can put your hand up or you can unmute yourself and share. This is part of the confidence test. While Lillian puts her thoughts together, anybody is free to share. So Zelia, if you can hear me, can you please unmute yourself and share with us how you can measure your confidence level? I think we're speaking
Hello.
about it. Yes, I can hear you, please.
Okay. So I think to measure your one way you can measure is to compare your previous performance to your current one. Yes, let's say if you are trying to build a particular skill, let's say public speaking, you can compare your day-to-day activities, speaking to the mirror, how you did yesterday, and then the current performance. You can also look at how you perform during an interview or an activity that you took to your previous performance.
Beautiful. So you compare your now to your yesterday. That's very insightful. Comparing how you are doing and the progress you are making. That's how you can measure your confidence level. Thank you very much. Felicia, I will call you to share with us in a bit. Okay, so please put your thoughts together. Lillian, are you ready for us now? How can I measure my confidence? Loretta, I had called you earlier. I'm not sure that you heard me, but you're welcome to share with us. How can I measure my confidence? It should be measurable. Otherwise, you convince yourself that you are confident, only to be put on the spot and you realize that you haven't filled that bank. How do I measure my confidence? Ruby, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too. You can share if you're ready. Susan and Janet, please let's hear you. Hi, Lillian, I can hear you.
Okay, I just said my name. I wasn't really following, sorry. But you said something about confidence.
Yes. So Lillian, I had mentioned your name, welcoming you, and we're discussing confidence. So you didn't join in the beginning, but the question on the floor right now is how can I measure my confidence?
Oh, okay. So I think by doing a SWOT analysis.
Okay.
So you know what your strengths are, your weaknesses, you know your opportunities and what it could be threats to you. So by doing that, you know where your confidence lies.
Thank you so much for sharing, Lillian. That's what I mentioned. Yeah, and that's very good that you reiterated that point. I see a question in the chat room about confidence in women and in men. So Doc is asking, are young women less confident than young men? In other words, are young men more confident than young women? What are your thoughts? You can type it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and share with us. We have two things we're discussing right now. How can I measure my confidence? And men and women, young men and women, which party is the more confident? Ruby, would you like to share with us, please, on any of these?
Okay, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ruby.
Okay, so with the confidence level, you knowing that you've improved with your confidence level is for you to one, try doing something you haven't done before. So maybe build your confidence. You used to, okay, so you can predominantly also apply for jobs. And then when you ask for an interview, maybe initially when you go for interviews, you do shake at the panel. So now you've come home, you were rejected because of maybe your confidence, you've come home, you've spoken to yourself in the mirror, as I said earlier, you have spoken to children, you have spoken to your siblings, now you feel you are confident enough. You can just try your hands on probably picking up a role at church. Or you can go to the pastor or those who program, like they draw the program outline and be like, this week I want to do I want to speak to the church, or this week I want to take a role, like I want to sing, or this week I want to do the master of ceremony for this program. Yes, so gradually the more you do it, it becomes a part and parcel of you. Then with no time you see that all those shyness and everything is gone. So you can take it as a challenge to yourself to put yourself into programs or do something you haven't done before, just for you to express that confidence that you have. That's my little
Sure.
bit.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for sharing, Ruby. But just before you unmute, Loretta, I see your hand. You're up next, okay? And Felicia, you're also up next. But Ruby, I see you've unmuted. I had a follow-up question for you. We have it in the chat room.
Okay.
Doc was
I'm
asking,
listening.
do you think that young men are more confident than young women, or vice versa?
With confidence, it doesn't come with gender. Everyone can be confident. There are men who are very, very shy and they are not confident at all. I know married couples whom the lady, you can see the woman is outspoken and the man is very shy and all. There are other parties too that you can see the woman is very shy and the man is very outspoken. So confidence doesn't do with gender. It's something you have to build on yourself. Everyone has confidence in their inner self, but it takes you to bring it out. So
Okay.
it has nothing to do with gender. Everyone is confident in one way or the other. Even if you are a guy and you are shy, when you were going to marry, you were able to propose to someone. You were able to talk to someone. That's the confidence you have. That this time that I'm going, I wouldn't be bounced, and you got a wife to marry. So confidence is in you. At a point in time when the thing comes, when you are faced with hardship, and you know that that confidence was there, you were able to pick a phone and you call someone, I need help, I need some money to do this. As a woman, you were able to call your dad. As a man, you were able to call your mom that I need this. You took that wasn't ego, it was confidence. The confidence that was in you made you take that step. So everyone has confidence. Sometimes at a point that it needs to come out, it will come, but you have to nurture it. Then it's not automatic. Nurture it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ruby. And that bouncing example, practical. Thanks for sharing, Ruby. Loretta, your hand is up. How do I measure my confidence? And then your take on, are young women more confident than men or the other way around? Let's hear you, Loretta.
Right, thank you, Amanda. So for measuring my confidence, usually I do a self-reflection. So I ask myself whether maybe questions that were asked during a particular session, my articulation and everything. I ask if, okay, did I do right? Did I speak confident? Like, did I speak right? And sometimes too, I ask for feedback from trusted people. You just don't ask for feedback from any other person, but people you know that, okay, they are in for your good. So that's how I usually would measure my feedback and then reflection. Now with the question about young women less confident than young men, I will say that in this era, knowing the advocacy for gender and women empowerment and all has boosted. I know that for that advocacy, it has helped a lot of young women rise up to or own their works and own whatever, whoever they are. So at least on that part, I know that women are like their confidence level are being risen because of that. And for young men, I know someone who is very confident, but then thinks that he's not confident because of his voice, how he sounds. Yes. So he thinks that his voice is not mature enough because he's a man. He needs to mature up his voice. So yeah, I think it depends. But then I would also say that in this era, empowerment, women empowerment and gender empowerment has helped young women to be more confident. Yeah, that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Loretta. So Loretta and Ruby have shared insights on how we can measure our confidence. And they're saying, Loretta mentioned feedback from people you can trust. And not just people you can trust, but I'd like to add to that people who will tell you the truth. So people who would tell you, yeah, you came out very strong on this, or I think you should work on this again. Thank you so much for that, Loretta. Doc, could you please share with us your take on whether young men are more confident than young women, or it's the other way around?
All right, thank you, Amanda. I think it's a personality thing, and when you think in terms of personality, you find young men and women who are choleric, young men and women who are very phlegmatic, quiet, introverted, And so at the most basic human level, there really is no difference, because you will find young men who lack the confidence or who are very confident, and the same on the other side. What is worth looking at is how our society reacts to the confidence that we see in men and in women. So where a man is assertive and confident, he speaks his mind, he's able to take charge and do things, it's seen as a very positive thing. And when a woman who is also extroverted, assertive, shows the same level of confidence, it's not often, or it's sometimes frowned upon, it's sometimes seen as disrespectful, etc. And so at the very basic human nature, both men and women exhibit confidence similarly. So you find some, people who are introverted and very bold. Introverted doesn't necessarily mean they're shy and quiet. So when it comes to who we are at the core, personality-wise, I think the differences, the similarities are more. However, how society reacts to our confidence is perhaps where the conversation could go, because that is where a young woman may go for a job interview and be expressive, and just like I'm talking right now, I'm using my hands. I feel very confident, but somebody may look at this and say, overconfident, arrogant, and may put labels on my engagement just because of hand gestures. And so it's really society and how society reacts to the confidence displayed by women versus the confidence displayed by men. And my encouragement to young women is use the advice shared on this platform and own who you are, own what you have to offer. Don't worry too much about what people say. Yes, listen to what people say for the feedback and what you can glean out of it. But don't let that suppress your confidence in any way. Be bold enough to assert yourself and do what you need to do. And when you own who you are, what you know, what you can do, it's easier for you to demonstrate confidence and be able to take charge when needed. Hope that adds a little to your conversation.
Thank you very much, Doc. So a few thoughts here on how I can measure my confidence. One, what can you do? Self-efficacy or efficiency. How effective are you now? How effective are you becoming? Look at what you know, look at the skills that you have and can demonstrate, and look at your personality, your attitude. This is one of the ways you can measure how your confidence is rising or dipping. Every day you can ask yourself, what can I do? How effective am I now? How effective am I becoming in terms of my knowledge, what I know, my skills, what I can use my hands to do, and my attitude, my heart. Who am I at heart? Now, self-esteem. How are you? Think about it this way. How do you feel about yourself as a person? Are you affirming yourself with positive affirmations? Are you teachable? Are you hungry to be better every day? These things boost your self-esteem. These things boost your confidence. And by these two things, you can measure your confidence. So if you don't remember the genesis of this meeting, if you were not here when we first started our good morning, this is one of the things you can take away from today's webinar. Two ways by which you can measure confidence. One, what can I do? Self-efficacy. Two, how am I? Self-esteem. And in the self-efficacy, ask yourself, my knowledge, my skills, my attitude, am I improving in there? Am I adding value to myself? And am I showing the value that I've added there? And then two, how are you as a person? How do you feel about yourself? Do you affirm yourself positively? Are you teachable when you get things wrong? Are you hungry to be corrected? And do you take correction positively? Are you hungry to be better every day? These are my thoughts. on how to measure your confidence. Thank you very much. But before I wrap up today's session, I'd like to visit the chat box, and you can unmute yourself if you have any question at all on today's discussion on confidence. We have some time to take that. Susan, your hand is up. Please, let's hear
Yes,
you.
please. I would like to look at the last slot before you went. I'm trying to copy the last part, the one with the self-esteem.
Beautiful. I'll just go back there for you. Can you see it now?
Just a minute, please. Yes, I can see.
Right.
Yes.
So let me just reiterate the point I made there. Confidence can be very abstract if you don't find a way to make it concrete. And I shared that these are two ways that you can make confidence tangible. These are two ways you can hold confidence the way you would hold your phone. Every day you wake up in the morning, whether you are a worker or you are a job seeker, a parent, a single person, or just about to get married, regardless of your social and economic status, ask yourself these two questions. What can I do? How effective am I in my knowledge gaining, in my skill demonstration, and in my attitude? Second thing, how am I? How do I feel about myself? Am I affirming myself positively? You have to be your own cheerleader, even if nobody is urging you on. Confidence is cheering yourself on, affirming yourself positively, being teachable. To be teachable means I can teach you, I can point your wrong out to you, you will learn and you will not repeat the mistake and you will be better. So being teachable and being hungry. Every day you wake up, you should be better than your yesterday. Susan, I believe you're done copying now. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Do we have any questions, please? I'm checking the chat box now. I don't see any question there. Ruby says thank you. All right. Anita is just joining, but there are no questions. Okay. If there are no questions, I know some of you have heard the Ghana Grows message, but some of you are joining us for the first time, and I would still like to share this good news with you. This training or webinar or discussion or learning session that we have just had has come on the ticket of the Ghana Grows program, powered by Access Human Capital. Now, Ghana Grows is an Agric and ATVET program. ATVET. Some people think of Agric as just the hoe and cutlass. So you can see in one of the images I have projected here, the hoe and stick perception. For some people, the moment you mention Agric, it's just going to the farm and digging up yam and cassava. Do I hear somebody speak, please? Okay. Agric goes beyond production. There are lots of opportunities, and I mentioned ATVET. I'll go into that very soon. We see an engineer here with his walkie-talkie. We see a vocational activity here, which is fashion and designing, and we see some solar panels behind here in this fourth picture. So what is Agric and what is ATVET? ATVET is an acronym. It stands for Agriculture, Technical, Vocational, Education, and Training, ATVET. Now, I had mentioned that Agric goes beyond just digging up the soil, and I'd like to share what the value chain looks like. There's first the pre-production stage. This is everything that happens before we land on the soil itself. So education, research, policy, and all of the things that I've projected on the screen, budgeting, financing, procurement, logistics, etc. Production is the planting stage. This is what people usually think Agric is limited to, but no, it's just one of the stages. There's animal rearing here, maintenance, harvesting, veterinary services, food loss management, post-harvest management, and all of that. It falls into the production. And all the industries that you would find here. So Blue Skies will be here in production, for example, and all the other farms. processing, food processing, manufacturing, equipment maintenance, preservation, packaging, labeling, branding. This is also in the agric and ATVET value chain. So all the companies you can think of who add value to the produce from the ground. So you can think of the Unilevers, the Nestle's, the Promasidors. The sachet that gets to your house is value added on cocoa, and that's done in the processing stage. Then we think of supply chain. This is how the product gets to you in your house or to the shop where you go and buy it from. So storage, transportation, purchasing and supply, wholesaling, the marketing and sales, export and import, and quality assurance. So niche cocoa, where they have the factory and the quality assurance officer goes to check the pH of the product in the machine. That's all in the supply chain, and that's all in the value chain. And then consumption. Consumption is when it gets to us, consumers. So we have the hospitality services where you go to the restaurants, the hotels, the eateries, tourism, entertainment, food waste management, etc. So this is the expanded ATVET value chain. Why am I sharing this with us on the call? I'm sharing this because this is what the Ghana Grows Program has come to do. It's come to demystify the misconceptions about agric. That agric starts from a pre-production all the way to a consumption value chain. And there are so many industries in that entire value chain. So this program is being led by Springboard Roadshow Foundation, and it's being done in partnership with Limehouse, MasterCard Foundation, Axis Human Capital, and Miraki Arts. The target group is young people, people who are from 15 to 35, especially women. And because it's in the inclusivity space and agenda, we have room for persons living with disabilities. And good news is that this program has come to be spread in all 16 regions of Ghana. So everybody, so long as you are within the borders of this nation, ATVET Ghana Grows Program has come for you. What are our objectives on this program? Basically, we want to provide skills training. What we had this morning on confidence is a soft skills training. This is adding to your value and your marketability when you go to search for a job, for example, and it was brought on the ticket of the Ghana Grows Program. We also want to identify jobs and business opportunities in the agric and ATVET value chain. So we have a database of jobs, and we have a database of job seekers. We will be matching the job seekers to the jobs in this database. And the goal is also to transition young men and young women into jobs in the agric and ATVET. What is in it for me? Amanda, you've spoken a lot of English, but really practicalize this. What is in it for me? This is our commitment to you on the Ghana Grows Program. We will offer learning opportunities. So I remember one of the people on the call right now said that she didn't join early today. And that's probably because she's been on these sessions in the previous weeks. Yes, it is our promise to you. We will offer learning opportunities. One of them is every Friday we meet from 11 to 1 on a webinar, and we discuss many things that add to your marketability and your value. We also promise job vacancy assistance. We're speaking to employers. They share their job openings with us. We advertise on our website. When it goes live, you can go there, apply for a job. We'll consider the application. We'll check the competencies you come with. And if you qualify, we share your CV with the employer. We'll provide certification. When you participate on this program, especially as a volunteer in the 16 regions of Ghana, you help us with finding jobs and finding job seekers, finding business opportunities and networking with business leaders. We'll give you a certificate of participation. And the networking, of course, is guaranteed. This is our commitment to you. We have a whole competency framework on this program. There's a career planning toolkit. In there, we'll discuss things about self-awareness, CV review, personal appearance, online presence. Now there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Viber, there's Facebook, there's YouTube. There's so many things that you can register your presence with online. But will it serve you positively or negatively? We are here for you. Interview skills. We have personal effectiveness. It's a program that will be running, a module rather, that will be running. And you can see the content. I don't want to go step by step reading it out, but this is the competency framework that we're working with. And interpersonal skills and workplace survival, things like that in there. We'll be sharing learnings on that. We will have a site that will go live very soon. You can create an account. Doc might want to speak a bit on that, but you can create an account. It's Moodle, and then you take our online courses in the comfort of your home. And when we see the progress that you've made in those online courses to the end, there's a certificate that you can get from there as well. Now that I have shared with us what we promised to give you, there is a commitment that you also have to make to us. Time. Like this morning, you have invested time to stay with us on this call. You've invested data, and we don't take it lightly at all. That's why we promise you value. There's active participation that you would have to commit to this program. There's networking. So if you're our volunteer, for example, in any of the regions in Ghana, please, if you are not a volunteer on this program already, you can send us a message in the chat room. One of our team members will put a link in the chat box where you can indicate your interest in being our volunteer in any of the 16 regions in Ghana, and we'll get in touch with you afterwards. You can share with us your networking, job opportunities that you come by, business opportunities that you also come by for other job seekers and for other employers. And then professionalism. We will keep this platform, the volunteer platform, the Ghana Grows program itself, as professional as it ought to be. So this is your investment to us, like I shared. If you become our volunteer, you will identify job opportunities for yourself first and for others who are seeking jobs. You will interact with employers and you'll share that data with us, which will go into our database. You will gather the data for young people. You will help us to facilitate some trainings within the different regions in Ghana. So you will learn public speaking, you will learn learning facilitation skills. And then if a job you find meets your competencies, guess what? You have the first selection choice to be considered for that job. Ghana Grows, as I mentioned, is an inclusion agenda. So we're looking at making room for a lot of women and for persons living with disabilities. We want to encourage them. Don't just be satisfied in the comfort zone. Come out. Dare to dream to be a professional in the agric and ATVET space. And the benefits that we give to employers. So if you're on this call right now and you are an employer, you have a business, or you know somebody who has a business, please tell them, spread the word, that we will provide training for their staff at no cost. We'll also provide recruitment at no cost. There's free advertisements for their business. And there's data and insights that we will share with them. These are questions that we usually get when we share the Ghana Grows program with people. That, well, I have an employer whose details I want to share with you. What benefits will they get? Recruitment and training at no cost. Some people also say, I'm a job seeker. How can I join the program? On the screen, you can see a link. If you can screenshot this particular screen, please do. If you can copy it, please make sure you don't miss any of the slashes and the dots. Where you can find information or you can have further discussion with us, I have projected some telephone numbers. There's one which is a Vodafone number, and there's one which is an MTN number. And you can see our website, the email address rather, is also there. You can reach us through all of these means. Can you make referrals for people who are looking for jobs or for people who are employers and looking to benefit from training and recruitment free of charge? Yes, you can. If you're taking a shot of this screen, that's the link on your screen. So basically, this is what Ghana Grows has come to do for us. I'm showing a slide with our contact information if you didn't get it the first time. Okay, I'm about to show you my thank you slide, but before that, is there any question on the Ghana Grows program? Do we have any question? So you can see in the chat, we have the link where you can join if you want to be a volunteer. With the things that I have shared, you can benefit, the skills you can pick up, which will feed into today's discussion, building your confidence. Do we have any questions? Do we have any insights? Do we have any feedback on today's session? We can take about 3 comments and then we get ready to wrap up. Anita, you're welcome. I think you didn't join us in the beginning, but you may have heard a thing or two. Do you have any question, any feedback? Susan, Zelia, are there any questions? Mama, you stayed to the end. Thank you so much. Any question
No,
from your
please, no
side?
question.
Thank you, Zelia. No question. Mama, any question, any feedback, any comments before we wrap up? Okay. Thank you all very, very much for joining today's session. Please visit the link in there to indicate if you want to be a volunteer. Thank you, Mama. You said no comments. I've seen it. Thank you very much. Today's session, great discussion. Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much for your feedback. Today's session has been very interactive. We have learned from one another. We have shared insights. And I do hope that after today's call, you will sit down and do an introspection. Do an introspection and identify how you can measure your confidence and hopefully start to work on it. If you're already confident, keep it up. If you were confident but suffered something that shocked your confidence level, there's still room for improvement. You can reinforce that confidence. Thank you all very much for joining today's webinar. We'll see you with another exciting discussion on our next webinar, which will be next week, Friday, same time, same venue. Meanwhile, could you please turn on your camera, your video, so that we can take a quick shot of today's participants. Susan, I see you. Okay, can you please turn on your video so we take a quick picture? Mama, I see you. Thank you very much. Oh, Susan, I need your camera on so that I can take a picture. Okay. Video on, everybody. Everybody. Anita, could you please turn your video on? Lillian, video, please, so I can take a quick picture. Okay. Lillian, should we wait for you? Anita, your video, please. Thank you, Ruby. And there. Thanks for your smile. Beautiful smiles, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our session today. And we will meet again next week, Friday. Zelia, I see you. Bye.